Christopher Landon's new film Drop has just been released in theatres, and the new thriller starring Meghann Fahy and Sklenar is, in my opinion, a bit of a mixed bag. It's a film that delivers on its built tension quite well, but I think there are some illogical things that happen within that, and it left me asking, did the revealed messenger really need to execute their plan this way? Like I said, I did enjoy some aspects of it, and it wasn't all bad for me, but I think some plot points could have been executed slightly better. But in this explained analysis, I'm going to be giving you my breakdown of the film, discussing full plot details, the ending, and much more. There will be spoilers in this video, so if you haven't watched the film yet, then I would recommend checking it out before watching my analysis. Before I get into it though, if you want to see more on upcoming releases like Drop, then don't forget to support this upload by giving it a like rating and subscribing to the channel. But without further ado, let's dive into my explained video for Drop. So Drop, helmed by Christopher Landon, known for his work on Happy Death Day and its 2019 follow-up, expands on the blend of comedy and horror found in those films. This new thriller follows Landon's exit from the forthcoming Scream 7 and features a screenplay by Jillian Jacobs and Chris Roach. The film opens with character Violett, a single and widowed mother portrayed by Meghann Fahy, who finally musters the courage to go on her first date. This decision suggests that her previous relationship, which led to the birth of her son Toby, was far from healthy. With her sister Jen watching Toby for the evening at her home, she sets off for her date at the Palette, an elegant restaurant located on the top floor of a skyscraper. Just as she arrives, Violett receives a text from her date Henry, a photographer played by Sklenar, letting her know that he will be delayed, prompting her to order a glass of wine at the bar while she waits. As she waits, she encounters the cheerful bartender Cara, the charming pianist Phil, and Richard, a jittery man anticipating his blind date as well. During this, she gets sent a random meme via a service named DigiDrop, but she doesn't pay too much attention to it, as Henry finally shows up, carrying a camera bag. He explains to her that if he leaves his camera in the car, someone might break in and try and steal it. The pair settles in to start their date, with Violett mentioning that she must keep her phone on the table, just in case Jen or Toby requires her assistance. Henry is perfectly okay with this, even presenting her with a hockey puck he purchased as a gift for Toby. So everything seems to be going well on their date, until Violett begins to receive a series of new memes, each one increasingly more grim than the last. She shares her worries with Henry, who dismisses them as likely just a prank. He explains that to send a meme via DigiDrop, one must be within 50 feet of the recipient. So he begins to stroll around the restaurant to work out the possible distance of this prankster, and he determines that the culprit must be within the dining area. Despite this unsettling thought, the date continues on a positive note until Violett receives a message from a user named Let's Play. The message urges her to check her security cameras at home, and upon doing so, she discovers a masked intruder armed with a gun. Shortly after, she receives another text from Let's Play, warning her to stay silent and revealing that her phone has been cloned so that they can monitor her every move. They threaten her and say that if she contacts the police, Toby will be killed. And this is where we start to get some hints surrounding what Let's Play wants from Violett. Violett learns that in order to save Toby, she must steal and destroy the SD card from Henry's camera. So to create a diversion, she pretends to have lost her watch by flinging it in her purse, makes Henry go look for it, and then manages to retrieve the SD card and eventually flush it. Before disposing of it, she glimpses at some of the images on the card, which reveals photos of politicians and wire transfer documents. But again, she completes this task and hopes that everything can end surrounding her son. But that's not all Let's Play wants, because they give her another task, and this one is far more daunting. She is ordered to kill her date Henry if she wants her son to live. Let's Play has secretly placed a vial of poison in the bathroom for her, assuring her that it will kill Henry quick and without pain. Violett initially disagrees to follow her new orders, but Let's Play reminds her that she has done it before and can do it again. And we do find out more about her past a bit later. So fully conscious of the cameras watching her and the hidden microphones at her table and in the restroom, she attempts to figure out who in the restaurant might be responsible, but her efforts continuously yield no results. Meanwhile, Henry picks up on all the tension she's been showing and considers ending the day. Let's Play tells her that if Henry walks away from the table, her son will be killed. So she persuades him to remain at the table by getting up and giving him a kiss. Henry decides to stay, and amidst the life-threatening chaos, he and Violett manage to reconnect. He reveals that he's been working for the mayor for 5 years, though he doesn't seem particularly thrilled about it. When Henry inquires about her choice to become a therapist, Violett shares that she helps abuse survivors because she is one herself and wants to support others in their healing journey. She mentions that the trauma from her past affects her, and this explains some of her unusual behaviour. As the date progresses, Violett grapples with the moral dilemma of potentially killing Henry, attempting various subtle ways to alert others about her son being in danger, including a discreet message to piano player Phil, who ultimately leads to his death as well. And because of these attempts from Violett, the masked intruder in her home eventually assaults Jen, and he then seizes Toby and locks him in his room as well. So in recognising that it will be hard to escape this situation, Violett temporarily takes up trying to kill Henry, persuading him to share a shot with her as a way to start over. As Violett makes her way to the bar to order 2 tequila shots, she accidentally trips over her purse, causing the watch she lied about losing to be seen by Henry. And once at the bar, she attempts to pour the poison into one of the shots, but receives a notification from Let's Play telling her to do it at the table instead. Opting out of having limes offered by bartender Kara, she returns to her table and Henry confronts her about the watch. This eventually leads to a heartfelt discussion about the importance of truthfulness, and Violett opens up about her experience in an abusive relationship. She reveals that she sometimes feels trapped in that situation, recalling a moment when she witnessed her ex-husband Blake nearly harm Toby. Henry reflects on a troubling time in his past when he caused pain to good people, a burden that still weighs heavily on him. He confides in Violett that even the memory of abusive individuals can instill guilt long after they are gone. After sharing their stories, Violett reassures him that he is a good person. Soon after this, Henry's suspicion of Violett raises, as once leaving the table to fetch the limes, the bartender tells him that Violett didn't want any. And while away from the table, Violett poisons his drink. He still agrees to take the shot, and just as he's about to drink the poison, Violett has a change of heart and spills her red wine all over him. Of course, Let's Play isn't very happy about this. And this brings us to the twist of the film, which to be honest, I thought was one of the more decent aspects of it. Kara approaches Violett, noticing that she has been acting strangely throughout the evening, and offers to help her escape her date, feeling that this is her problem without knowing about her messages. In the process, Kara reveals a crucial detail that helps Violett connect the dots. She mentions that nervous Richard has been watching Violett all night from the other table, one that is typically reserved by someone else. This leads Violett to realise that Richard must be Let's Play, and she remembers that whoever Let's Play is had called ahead to request both their table and hers. So Violett walks over to Richard and offers him the other shot. He politely declines but addresses her by name, which surprises her since she never revealed it. At that moment, Richard drops his friendly facade and instructs her to sit down. He removes a hidden earpiece and insists that she drink one of the shots she brought over, while explaining that his table is positioned in a blind spot of the security cameras. He clarifies that he was brought on board to eliminate both Henry and the SD card, as these were the last remaining pieces needed to conceal the mayor's fraudulent activities. Additionally, he discloses that Henry is an informant for the FBI. Richard's scheme involves framing Violett for Henry's murder, as footage shows her poisoning his drink at the table using a toxin derived from medications that she frequently prescribes. He plans to portray the innocent as a widow who killed, killing again, even though Violett insists that she did not kill her ex-husband. In the midst of their discussion, Henry makes his way over to Violett and Richard. With Richard once again putting on a friendly facade, he presents Henry with the shot laced with poison, which Henry accepts. Richard then contacts the masked figure, instructing him to abort the assassination attempt on Toby, assuring Violett that her son is out of danger. He then starts eating his dessert, remarking that all that remains is to wait for Henry to die. And while Richard enjoys his meal, Violett shares that this dinner brings back memories of the last time her abusive husband Blake treated her to a meal. She explains that he often took her out for an apology dinner, which made her good at pretending. And therefore, Violett reveals to Richard that she didn't poison the shot, and when he was chatting with Henry, she actually poisoned his dessert. Enraged by being outwitted, Richard draws his gun on her, but Henry takes the bullet himself. Another gunshot from Richard narrowly misses and hits the window. Violett then gets the nearest object at hand, which is the hockey puck Henry had given to Toby, and she throws it at cracks in the glass, causing a gust of wind to pull Richard out. The wind also pulls Violett out of the window, and in a desperate move, she clings onto some tablecloth, and a wounded Henry manages to pull her back to safety. Once back inside the building, she tells Henry to apply pressure to his injury, takes his car keys, and rushes home. And that's because before Richard's death, he had ordered his associate to eliminate Jen and Toby back at the house. This brings us to the ending of Drop, which I think is a bit too much over the top. At Violett's home, Jen is engaged in a fierce struggle with the intruder, determined to protect Toby at all costs. Violett somehow rushes all the way back home before the worst can happen, seizes a knife in the kitchen, and stabs the attacker in the chest. The masked attacker retaliates by throwing Violett onto the table, and as he prepares to finish her off, Toby uses his remote-controlled toy truck that we saw at the start of the film to bring Violett a gun. She takes hold of the gun and shoots the intruder. The film then concludes with Henry and Jen recovering from gunshot injuries in the hospital. In the background, we see that a news broadcast reveals that the mayor's office is involved in an embezzlement scandal. Violett stops by to see Henry, and he expresses his gratitude for her saving his life. They both decide to go on a second date, and then Jen inappropriately trolls Violett with a message pretending to be Let's Play. And that's where the film leaves us. So central to Drop is Violett, and to a lesser degree Henry, who symbolise the struggles of abuse survivors. Their experiences, ranging from toxic romantic entanglements to the betrayal of friends and manipulative employers, leave both characters visibly affected and disheartened. Hope is what drives Violett's actions during the climax of the film, as she resists surrendering to a man intent on exploiting his power. In her confrontation with Richard, Violett outsmarts him and takes decisive steps to protect her sister and son. So Drop mostly succeeds at highlighting the enduring impact of trauma on individuals, yet it underscores the vital importance of battling against it and moving forward with hope. While I did have issues with the film, I can't deny that it was effective at delivering on its central message. But that was my breakdown and analysis for Drop. Overall, I did think it had an interesting twist and a few decent stylistic choices, like with the use of the phone messages on screen and the visual spotlight placed on Violett, but there were some moments where I thought logic went a bit too far out of the window, a bit like Violett at the very end. I think one thing that bugged me come the ending was how Violett was able to make her way down a tall building, find her date's car, rush all the way back home, and both her kid and Jen were somehow able to escape an armed gunman in all that time. On top of this, I did think the main plan from Richard to kill Henry was a bit elaborate, and it took me out of it while I watched it unfold. I can't deny that the reveal that Richard was Let's Play was intriguing, but it was just the reasoning behind his plan and doing it this way that didn't completely sell me. But again, I can see why many people would like the film a lot more than me, and I think it does have some good things going for it. It did keep me on edge at times, so from a thriller perspective, I think it did do its job. But I do hope that this breakdown did help some of you guys understand the film and the main details a bit better, and overall, I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on it, so don't forget to let me know down below in the comment section. For more videos on upcoming film releases like Drop, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like, rating, and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.